I might be the most flawed and most odd person on set. Hello, you hired me to play the most odd, complex person.
That's right.
But I'm so secure with it. And many people are not secure with their oddity and
if you're playing the game, I know how to play this motherfucker.
Yeah, okay, that's what we're going to do. Let's rock.
Yeah.
And that left a bitter taste in my mouth, which I've had to do a lot of work at Unbittering.
This is the reason why they killed off James St. Patrick, a.k.a. Ghost, on Power. Hey, everyone. So this is going to be, I don't know what I'm going to call it. Might be B-Talks TV, might be something else, right? But I came across this video of Omari Hardwick being interviewed by Jon Bernthal, right? You might know him as the Punisher and, of course, other roles that he's been in. But I thought this was pretty interesting because Power fans like myself have always been wondering, you know, the major character that Omari played, a.k.a. James St. Patrick, a.k.a. Ghost, like, why was he killed off on his own show? And now all these spin-offs are happening and we don't see him even in flashbacks or appear even as a ghost per se. And it's like this big air of mystery whenever he talks about it in real life. He's like really, really sort of, you know, covering his tracks with it. But it's all this air of mystery. So in this interview, I think he slips up a bit and he kind of reveals what happened. So if you listen to it real carefully, I'm going to react to this and let's see what he says.
Just with Power and what you did there and what you built, I mean, it's really kind of unprecedented. I mean, similar, I think, to what you know Jim Gandolfini did for HBO. There's an entire empire built there, and it's built, you know, on the shoulders of this character, right? And now there's these offshoot
Fair use
shows, and there's, you know, you versus the character, how much O is there, and Ghost, how much Ghost is there. No, and I get that, and I am really
Nobody
interested
gets
in
more
how
than
you. But like, you know, and how you turn that on, how you turn that off. How sometimes, like you said, firefighters, you got to walk towards the flame. You know, sometimes playing a.
So listen to the first thing John says. He says that all of these other shows, Power Book 2, Power Book 3, Power Book 4, are literally built off of the character that he made. And we know this. The fans know this, right? The studio knows this.
Part, man, and you know, it's weird saying it in front of the cameras like this while we're Omari and John, because you know, it's something only a few of us really understand. It comes at there's a huge cost, man. We really lose something and leave something on the field. And when we say we're gonna take something on like that,
I want to skip ahead a little bit because he just kind of rambles on until Omari actually comes on and talks.
You include in that Shabu, my turn opposite, and I know you agree with me, Bern, a very gifted, I think one of the more gifted but underrated artisans of our generation as an actor, and that being Wood Harris. Mm-hmm. Wood being what he was as Avon Barks.
Omari can be long-winded too, I'm not gonna lie. He took a long time to come around to say what he had
But equally
to say.
what he was with me on Next Day Air with Mike Epps, Mos Def, and Donald Faison included. I think Lauren London was in that as well. She was. That might have preceded me walking in the door. Oh yeah, he smelled like Ghost in that character, Shabu. Or let 50 tell it. I think he can play this based off of me as Curtis. I'm speaking as Curtis, having watched him in characters that were pubescent stages of a way bigger Ghost. But even if Bernthal didn't have in character in television that, and we talked about this as you approach Punisher. Mm-hmm. We talked about it. Me and you talked about it. Rick Roman Waugh and you talked about it. Maybe as a triumvirate we talked about it. Some of the fears that you had. I said something one day and I remember you going, hey, but Punisher's not that, though. You're playing a character that you're able to, with obviously the help of Courtney and her mighty pen, and Curtis and his ingenuity, and what he's curated in his brain, but perhaps can't put on paper, but she put it on paper. And Stars having said, no, I'm adding this part because I don't think I told you this, Bern. Stars having said no to a show, so to say yes to Power. They said yes to a show, then said no to the same show they said yes to. Just to say, nah, I'm wrong. We're going to go with Power. They're betting on a dark horse. Perhaps literally.
So Stars, the network that airs all of Power and all of its spin-offs, they had to deny or cancel another show or whatever, something else that was pitched to them to go with Power, OG Power in the first place. So he's calling it, look, they're betting on a dark horse.
Let it be white execs, Chris Albrecht included. Now, Chris Albrecht is connected to Jon Bernthal in some capacity. People would ask why. In this interview, people say, why? How? Chris Albrecht is formerly at HBO.
Okay, Omari, you starts talking about people.
Left and right. I've heard of the stories of him battling drug use. I know it. Jimmy Gandolfini, rest in peace, missed 5 days of work at times. I'm curators and creators of these shows that then ask us to be Tom Brady's. Bern, I wasn't necessarily brought in as touted as Tom Brady was, leaving New England, going to Tampa. Jon Bernthal came in. If you got Ghost, you would have come in bigger stature than me walking in. So because I didn't come in bigger stature, that show, if you will, made me. It didn't make me in my definition, but because it made me to other people's belief, they can feel away if they don't feel like they're being given the credit.
You catch that? Listen to what he says. He says that he wasn't necessarily as known by the status of, you know, the world or whatever, like as a popular actor, right? But he's now saying that by his standard, you know, it didn't make him, but by everyone else's standard, it made him. But listen to what he says in these last couple of seconds.
Bigger stature. That show, if you will, made me. It didn't make me in my definition, but because it made me to other people's belief, they can feel away if they don't feel like they're being given the credit.
There's always been this long disputed thing about who's responsible for actually quote unquote killing Ghost? I don't believe. I'm biased. I don't believe he's dead, right? Now, mind you, Power Book 2, they had a funeral. We never saw a body, and we know ghosts never die. Whatever. Okay. I don't want to get into that. I don't believe he's dead.
And ironically, I only give credit where credit is due. I am as good as the weakest actor. The show goes as far as the weakest crew member. And if 50 doesn't hire me, and I've said 50, you had to be hella secure to hire me. You could have been insecure and hired some guys that are nowhere near my talent. 50 learned that I was aware how gifted I was. Burn, you and I know how gifted we are. We think that everybody else assumes that we think we're gifted. I've learned that some people.
And we know 50. 50 is a G. 50's from the streets, so he's not one of these corporate types who's feeling some kind of way about little squabbles and foolishness, right? So automatically we got to rule 50 Cent out as the person who had beef with Omari as to why he got killed off. Because 50's not even with Stars anymore. So that's a whole other thing. He took all of his stuff at his contracts and he ended it with Stars, right? Now the shows are still on there for how much longer we don't know. But we can rule out 50 Cent as being the problematic person right now.
Because of our humility, think we don't know how gifted we are. Some people feel more in control when you come off like you didn't know you had the shit. Bernthal, I could never play one down. Let's go back to football. I could never even dress
Listen
up.
to what he says.
Bernthal, I could never play one down. Let's go. Think we're gifted. I've learned that some people, because of our humility, think we don't know how gifted we are.
Some people. Okay.
Some people feel more in control when you come off like you didn't know you had the shit.
Some people feel more in control when you come off like you don't know you the ish. That's what he says. He's saying someone on the inside, on the team, was feeling some kind of way when he started to realize, and he talked about it. I'm like a little Tom Brady at this stage in the game because I know what I'm bringing to Power. I know the views that we're getting. I know the kind of attention we're getting on this show. I know that Power is carrying this network at this stage. Okay.
Bernthal, I could never play one down. Let's go back to football. I could never even dress up in the locker room if I didn't know how gifted I was.
Right.
But when we don't come off that way, some people really are taken aback the day that you come off that way.
Yeah. He's saying it, right? He's saying it. Some people come off, get insecure. The day you realize your worth, people are gonna now begin to treat you differently. Because who are you? Who are you?
I believe the day that I came off, like I knew how gifted I was, everything changed.
What was that?
Not
day?
always for the better.
How so?
No longer was I in control of the faculty of that which they put me in control of when they asked me to play quarterback. If you ask me to play quarterback, then you have to allow me to sometimes.
He was no longer in control of the character once he started to show that he knew how important he was to the show and to the network. That's what he's saying.
All the plays.
Yeah.
If you ask me to play quarterback, not producer, just quarterback. I'm not at all of this notion that I was a producer. I tried to get that credit. Wasn't allowed it.
Right.
I mean,
He tried to become a producer on the show. They wouldn't allow it.
even that blew the mind of many of me's.
Yeah.
On a show not far over, you had people playing Olivia Pope, who are dear friends of mine, on Scandal, Kerry Washington's, to be specific, blown away that I was never offered an opportunity to direct.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I realized, Bernthal, that our industry includes so many people, if not the majority, you're going to smile. They are insecure.
Oh yeah.
In their feelings. He's saying that in Hollywood, in the industry, there are people who are insecure. I mean, running multi-million-dollar productions, but insecure in their feelings if you don't give them the credit. He's saying it right now. We wondering why is it that he got killed off? Why is it that he's not no longer on the show? I'm not going to say killed off. I don't believe he's dead. He's saying it right now. He's saying someone, I believe allegedly, Courtney A. Kemp, right, executive producer of Power, is the reason why. He's saying without saying her name, this the reason. She's the reason. She started to get in her feelings, allegedly. She started to get in her feelings about the fact that he started to get confident, know how important he was to Power and to the network. He wanted producer credit. He wanted directing credit. They wouldn't give it to him. And when he started to speak up, and if anyone knows who Omari's an activist. He's someone who's always speaking up for people and speaking up for communities and so forth. So the moment he started to do that on the show, she didn't like it. Allegedly, she didn't like it.
So they don't really love themselves prior.
Yeah.
I missed that memo. You might say, brother, how the naivete? Are you an idiot? I was an idiot. So I did the best that I could in an environment, oftentimes burned, that as much as I'm flawed and fucked up and insane and got some weird idiosyncrasies, I might be the most flawed and most odd person on set. Hello, you hired me to play the most odd, complex person.
That's right.
But I'm so secure with it. And many people are not secure with their oddity and
If you're playing the
idiosyncrasy.
game, I know how to play this motherfucker.
Yeah, okay, that's what we're going to do. Let's rock.
Yeah.
And that left a bitter taste in my mouth, which I've had to do a lot of work at unbittering and deciding.
He said that process from when he started to realize his worth, tried to get respect for it and credit for it, and how they treated him afterwards, it left a bitter taste in his mouth. So when we asked the question, so where is Ghost? Why hasn't, there was a scene in, I think it was season 2 of Power Book 2, and all of the people Tariq was responsible for killing, or causing them to die in some way, appeared, but they had his dad, who he actually shot, appear as a phone call, and not any. So Omari's saying, look, I'm not coming back, because certain people, aka maybe Courtney, man, they feel some kind of way, no matter what they say. They're the one who set me up to be like this. They're the one who caused my character to not be on the show anymore. And the show revolves. The whole second book is called Power Book 2 Ghost. How could you? The show is built off of him.
This was par for the course. And I can hear Grandpa, rest in peace, saying, count it all. How do you finish the sentence, Bernie?
Joy.
Joy. I can't go at anybody. I got to say, thank you, God.
That's right.
Thank you for their insecurities.
That's right.
It's hard.
Look at his leg. You know when people get nervous and they want to make sure I gotta keep a calm composure. I want to say more, and his leg starts to jitter.
So much.
Look at it.
I thought that, in season 2, summer hiatus movie, what was that? Oh, that was a movie called Shot Caller. I thought that in season 2 into season 3, once you meet a John Bernthal and he's that level of secure, what happens is you put your guard down. Bernie, I learned, and Carmi Zlotnick told me this, formerly number 2 in command at HBO, right? Next to Chris Albrecht. The story of HBO. There is nothing like HBO. All these streaming platforms, Netflix included, are all piggybacking HBO. Let's give credit where it's due. Home box office was different. It was groundbreaking. I got that team. They then came to stars. But the character himself was one of the greatest things to ever play I could ever play.
And we know this. The character of James St. Patrick, aka Ghost, is one of the most jarring characters to ever be portrayed on television. Ever. Multi-layered, complex. You have people divided whether he's a good guy or a bad guy to this day. But one of the things, I want to pull it back. The last thing he says.
Once you meet a John Bernthal and he's that level of secure, what happens is you put your guard down. Bernie, I learned.
He said he was 2-3 seasons into power. And if he's already proven himself, he's saying that allegedly, Courtney, you can put your guard down now. You don't got to feel some kind of way. He goes on to end the interview and says that basically the team that was over at HBO, we know HBO is the bigger network, right? The kind of quality content and TV shows and movies that they put out. He's saying a lot of people from that team came over to Stars and were helping to push Power. So he's like, all these factors are in play. Why are we still not giving enough credit if these guys who are used to making, banger shows, why are we still feeling insecure about them coming, over here and me not getting the credit? It's a whole mess. So this is the reason why they killed off James St. Patrick, aka Ghost, on Power. This is why. It's because allegedly Courtney A. Kemp was feeling some kind of way about him. She was insecure about Omari. There's a whole, list of Reddit and subreddits about what actually went down and why she carried on the way she carried on and so on and so forth, right? There's rumors. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. You can go check it out on the Power TV subreddit. But literally, if you start to pool all of the interviews together and that he's done and she's done, you start to stitch together information. If you're perceptive, you're able to pull out the fact that the person who's the reason why he is no longer on Power is probably still in charge right now. And he's saying it without saying it because Omari's a professional. He's a professional. He's saying it's Courtney without saying it's Courtney. He ruled out 50. 50's from the streets. He's a G. He's saying it's Courtney. I hope one day that we actually get to see him come back, because I refuse to believe he's dead. I mean, that's just me. This is like one of my favorite characters ever, right? Not the most moral, but definitely one of the most favorite characters ever. So thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. And until next time.